Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about the blood of Dawnwalker. I am pretty sure you could have just named it Dawnwalker. But then how would people know it's a game about vampires? Oh, I know, just put the blood in the title, yeah. The blood of Dawnwalker. Well, what if they still don't get it? We'll just call it The Blood of Dawnwalker Vampire Chronicles. Anyway, I digress. Let's keep on going with the video. So already we have a time and a place. Let's see what happened in the year 1347 somewhere in the Carpathians. Yeah, Black Death happened, which caused the locals to become quite superstitious and turn to prayer for protection from the plague. Now here's something I wish I would have found out sooner. The Blood of Dawnwalker takes place in Valle Sengora, a remote, fictional valley in the 14th century Eastern Europe. But from what I've could gathered, it would seem they have taken inspiration from Bram Castle, Pellesh Castle and Corvin's Castle.
You gave us quite the chase, young.
Please, sir. She's just a child.
Roderick, remind me, did I make...
So initially I thought this guy was King Charles I of Hungary, but after doing some research it turns out he is most likely the fictional lord of this fictional place called Valle Sangora. Speaking of which, it looks absolutely amazing. Now I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I'm getting the vibe of Assassin's Creed climb over everything you want vibe. Okay, pause, what is this? Looks like Mr. Potato if he was made by a schizo. Anyway, let's hear what should we expect from the developers.
Do you remember the second Fallout from '98?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite games ever, and I was so excited when you used that as a point of reference because for some time now I've been aching to return to the promise and the value of old school computer RPGs.
The game they are talking about was one of the first to introduce the non-linear gameplay and the time limit mechanics.
What was really interesting in the second Fallout is the freedom. You could do there whatever you want. You exit the vault, you have the clear goal in front of you.
Yeah.
You don't have main quest which telling you, okay, right now do that, next do that. You just shape your own main story and you build your own experience. And this is like the total freedom in the games. Also, if you will add to that the sense of urgency, the time, which actually is not really explored in the video games.
The sense of urgency is so important in the context of open world RPGs where players can become distracted and kind of get away from the main story. So finding a way to make sure that they remain invested, that they remain at the edge of their seats is so important, and I think it's something that's lacking from the games in that niche.
Now let's hear what they have to say about the game setting.
So the game takes place 2 years after the events shown in the intro, and this is just the beginning of a greater saga we were planning. Our game is set in 14th century Europe, and it's a world in deep crisis. First, the continent has been ravaged by the plague, then wars, and now famine. And all the while, vampires have been watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And finally, when humanity is at its lowest, they come out of the shadows, they overthrow the feudal lords, and they move into their castles.
But why would it be so easy for the vampires to take over? And why did the feudal lords lose popularity with the people?
Feudal lords in that time killed the whole villages to prevent, the plague. And the vampires, they defend Cohen and his sister. They even healed Lunka. And, I know that people need to pay taxes in blood, but it's not a huge cost of safe and good life.
Well, to that I'd say that vampires' favors are uncertain. And sure, they protect the people of the valley where the game takes place, but they see them as cattle, so they protect them to then lead them and ultimately kill them. And the blood tax you mentioned, it's taken from everyone, the frail, the weak, the old. Each week they have to convene at the church for a blood mass. So for some people, that's deeply traumatizing or might even end up in them dying.
So, either way, you are screwed. Well, what can I say? It's historically accurate. In fact, it's still happening right now, really capturing the hopelessness of this country. Good job.
So in the end, I'd say the balance is more or less equal. And that's something that I actually really like about our setting, this world, that nothing is simple. Nothing is just black or just white. And you have to decide for yourself, like, what do I think is the right choice? What is the path I want to take? And what is the path I want to avoid? And ultimately, Cohen's family ends up in the dungeons of the Vampire Lord. And even as Cohen is trying to free them, he will meet people who still support the regime.
It's even more challenging for players because Cohen has only 30 days and 30 nights to save his family. In most games, sandbox means gameplay freedom. In our, it means narrative freedom. We don't think about the quest like the main quest or the side quest. We just have quests. Players will craft their experience through the game by themselves, and nobody will have the same. And we call it native sandbox.
Yeah, that's something that really excites me because that means that no two playthroughs will be identical. That each player will have a unique experience. And that's the true magic of video games, and that's why I love making them.
Unique experiences, huh? Okay, let's be real. How many of you think I'm going to play this game until I get every single ending? Come on now. Those game features go hand in hand with replayability. I already want to see the speedruns for this game, and I already want a new game plus if the game is going to be anything like they described right here. Speaking of which, let's hear more about our protagonist.
At the day, as a human, he can fight with a sword, he can use and discover dark magic, but he can be killed by anyone. At the night, he encountered a lot more difficult enemies. He can use some vampiric abilities, not only in combat, but also he can use it to explore the world and to see the world in a totally different way.
Yeah, and he'll need all these cool superpowers because he's facing formidable enemies. This clique of vampires who decided to take over the world, turn it upside down, and set the rules. And they are led by this super old and immensely powerful vampire called Brensis.
Now I would like to ask you one more question before I go.
Do we have a release date?
Oh, I knew that would happen at some point. Okay. Well, about the release date, we are not quite ready to announce it just yet, but don't worry, once we are confident about this, we will let you know. And we will definitely let all of you guys know as well. But in the meantime, join our official social media channels. We will be posting a lot in the upcoming months and giving you even more insight into the universe of Dawnwalker.
Okay, let's forget a second about the release date. From what I've seen, which by the way is what we all saw, the game is around 30% completed. You are looking at a minimum of 2 years and a maximum of 4 years. So, yeah, take care.